In the heart of bustling Victorian London, amidst the cobblestone streets and towering buildings, there stood a mysterious antique shop. Its windows were adorned with a myriad of curiosities, beckoning passers-by to step inside and uncover the secrets that lay within. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the past mingled with the present, and where the enigmatic Mr. Hargreaves held court over his collection of artifacts. Amelia, a young and curious historian, had stumbled upon this peculiar establishment during one of her research expeditions. Drawn to the allure of the past, she found herself irresistibly drawn to the antique shop's doors, her heart pounding with anticipation. As she crossed the threshold, a bell tinkled above her, announcing her arrival. The interior of the shop was a treasure trove of wonders. Shelves lined with dusty books, delicate porcelain figurines, and ornate jewelry boxes filled every corner. The air was heavy with the scent of aged paper and the faint aroma of forgotten memories. Amelia's eyes widened with excitement as she surveyed the room, her fingers itching to touch the artifacts that whispered tales of bygone eras. And then, she saw it. Nestled amidst a display of intricately carved pocket watches, there lay a peculiar timepiece that seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. Its silver casing was adorned with delicate engravings, depicting scenes of ethereal beauty. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as she reached out to touch it, her fingers trembling with anticipation. Unbeknownst to Amelia, this pocket watch held the power to transcend the boundaries of time. Its delicate mechanism held the secrets of centuries, allowing its bearer to witness the gradual destruction of beauty. But as Amelia held it in her hands, she could only sense a faint echo of its power, a whisper of the journeys it could take her on. Mr. Hargreaves, the enigmatic owner of the shop, observed Amelia with a knowing smile. He had seen many like her before, drawn to the mysteries that his collection held. His eyes, filled with a wisdom that seemed to span centuries, met Amelia's gaze, and she felt a shiver run down her spine. "Curious, isn't it?" Mr. Hargreaves said, his voice carrying a hint of nostalgia. "That pocket watch has seen more than you can imagine. It holds the key to a world that exists beyond our own, a world where beauty is both fragile and eternal." Amelia's eyes widened with wonder as she listened to Mr. Hargreaves' words. She had always been fascinated by the past, by the stories that lay hidden within forgotten artifacts. And now, standing in this enigmatic antique shop, she felt as if she had stumbled upon a gateway to a world she had only dreamed of. With a sense of purpose burning within her, Amelia made a decision. She would acquire the pocket watch, and in doing so, she would unlock the mysteries of time itself. Little did she know that this decision would set her on a path she could never have anticipated, a path that would intertwine her destiny with that of another lost soul. As Amelia left the antique shop, the pocket watch safely tucked away in her coat pocket, she couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. She knew that her life was about to change, that the secrets of the past were calling out to her, beckoning her to embark on a journey through time. Little did she know that Edward, a disillusioned artist burdened by lost inspiration, would soon find himself drawn to the same antique shop, unaware of the extraordinary power that awaited him. Their paths were destined to cross, their shared experiences forging an unbreakable bond as they embarked on a quest to witness the destruction of beauty and restore the fading splendor of the world they once knew. And so, the stage was set, and the echoes of eternity began to reverberate through time. The enigmatic antique shop stood as a portal to the past, inviting those who were willing to step inside to witness the profound impact that the destruction of beauty would have on their lives. Amelia and Edward were about to embark on a journey that would test their resolve, challenge their beliefs, and ultimately shape the course of their destinies. Little did they know that the pocket watch held not only the power to transport them through time but also the power to awaken within them a deep understanding of the fragile nature of beauty and the urgent need to protect it. As they would soon discover, the destruction of beauty was not a natural occurrence but a consequence of human actions driven by greed, indifference, and a lack of appreciation for the wonders that surrounded them. And so, with the pocket watch as their guide, Amelia and Edward would delve deeper into their time-traveling adventures, uncovering the true purpose of their journeys and the reasons behind the gradual decay of art, nature, and human connection. Theirs was a tale that would serve as a cautionary reminder, urging readers to cherish and protect the beauty that exists in the world before it is lost forever. As the echoes of eternity whispered through the corridors of time, Amelia and Edward's destinies were forever entwined, their shared experiences becoming the foundation upon which they would build a future that celebrated the irreplaceable treasures that surrounded them. Together, they would strive to restore the fading splendor of a world on the brink of oblivion, guided by the echoes of eternity and fueled by a love for beauty that transcended time itself. Edward stood at the threshold of the antique shop, his weary eyes scanning the dimly lit interior. The scent of aged wood and forgotten treasures filled the air, enveloping him in a comforting embrace. He had heard whispers of this place, a sanctuary for lost souls seeking solace amidst the chaos of the world. As he stepped further into the shop, his gaze was drawn to a peculiar pocket watch resting on a velvet cushion. Its intricate design and delicate mechanism spoke of a craftsmanship long forgotten. Edward's fingers trembled as he reached out to touch it, drawn to its silent promise of escape. Unbeknownst to Edward, this pocket watch held the power to transport him through time, to witness the gradual decay of beauty in all its forms. With each tick of its hands, he would be thrust into different periods, his eyes open to the stark reality of a world losing its splendor. The moment Edward's fingers brushed against the watch, a surge of energy coursed through his veins. Colors blurred, and the familiar sights of the antique shop dissolved into a haze. When the world settled once again, Edward found himself standing in a lush meadow, bathed in the golden light of a setting sun. But this meadow was not as he had imagined. The once vibrant flowers had withered, their petals drooping in despair. The melody of birdsong had been replaced by a haunting silence. Edward's heart sank as he realized that he had been transported to a time when nature's beauty was on the brink of extinction. He ventured further, his footsteps heavy with sorrow, and came upon a once grand oak tree. Its branches, once lush and full of life, now stood bare and skeletal against the gray sky. Edward reached out, his fingertips brushing against the rough bark, feeling the echoes of life that had once thrived within. As he continued his journey through time, Edward witnessed the decay of art and human connection. He stood in front of dilapidated buildings that were once majestic galleries, their walls adorned with masterpieces now faded and forgotten. The laughter and camaraderie that once filled these spaces had been replaced by a hollow emptiness, a longing for what once was. In each era, Edward encountered individuals whose spirits had been broken by the destruction of beauty. He met a tormented poet, his words once filled with passion and hope, reduced to mere whispers in the wind. He encountered a disillusioned aristocrat, whose opulent lifestyle had left him hollow and devoid of purpose. Their stories intertwined with his own, painting a picture of a world crumbling under the weight of neglect. Yet, amidst the desolation, Edward found glimmers of hope. He witnessed acts of kindness, small gestures that breathed life into the fading splendor. A child's laughter echoed through the ruins, reminding him of the resilience of the human spirit. These moments, though fleeting, ignited a spark within him, a determination to fight for the preservation of beauty. As Edward's time-traveling adventures continued, his understanding of the fragile nature of beauty deepened. He realized that the destruction he witnessed was not a natural occurrence but a consequence of human actions driven by greed, indifference, and a lack of appreciation for the wonders that surrounded them. With each journey through time, Edward's lost inspiration began to flicker back to life. He sketched the decaying landscapes, capturing their fading beauty on paper. Through his art, he sought to remind the world of what had been lost, to ignite a collective awakening to the importance of preserving the irreplaceable treasures that surrounded them. Amidst his travels, Edward's path converged with that of Amelia, the young historian who had also been drawn to the antique shop. Their shared experiences forged an unbreakable bond, their hearts entwined in a shared mission to restore the fading splendor of the world they once knew. Together, they would uncover the true purpose of the pocket watch and embark on a journey that would challenge their beliefs, push the boundaries of time, and ultimately remind humanity of the urgent need to protect the beauty that exists in the world before it is lost forever. As Edward stood in the meadow, the dying light casting long shadows around him, he vowed to carry the echoes of fading splendor within him, to ignite a revolution of preservation that would echo through eternity. Amelia and Edward's paths converged as they continued their time-traveling adventures, their hearts filled with a shared purpose to uncover the truth behind the destruction of beauty. Together, they ventured forth, their steps guided by an unyielding determination to restore what had been lost. In their travels, Amelia and Edward encountered a cast of characters who had also been affected by the gradual decay of beauty. Each person they met embodied a different consequence of neglect, their stories serving as cautionary tales of what awaited a world that turned a blind eye to its own demise. One fateful day, Amelia and Edward found themselves in a bustling city, once teeming with life and vibrancy. But now, it lay in ruins, its grand architecture reduced to crumbling facades and broken dreams. They wandered through the abandoned streets, their footsteps echoing with a haunting emptiness. In this desolate landscape, they stumbled upon a man named Samuel, a once renowned architect who had dedicated his life to crafting magnificent structures that stood as testaments to human ingenuity. But now, his spirit was broken, his eyes filled with a deep sorrow. Samuel shared his story with Amelia and Edward, his voice trembling with regret. He had witnessed the gradual erosion of architectural beauty, the neglect of buildings that were once symbols of pride and progress. As the city's inhabitants turned their attention to more modern structures, the old landmarks were left to crumble, their stories lost to the passage of time. Amelia and Edward listened intently, their hearts heavy with the weight of Samuel's words. They realized that the consequences of neglect went beyond the physical decay of beauty. It extended to the loss of history, the erasure of stories that shaped a community's identity. Moved by Samuel's plight, Amelia and Edward vowed to restore the city's architectural wonders, to breathe life back into the forgotten buildings that held the echoes of a bygone era. They rallied the community, igniting a collective awakening to the importance of preserving their heritage. Together, they formed a preservation society, dedicating their time and resources to restoring the dilapidated structures. They enlisted the help of skilled craftsmen, who meticulously repaired the intricate details that time had worn away. And as the buildings were resurrected, so too was the spirit of the city, its people finding solace and pride in their shared history. But Amelia and Edward's journey was far from over. They continued to traverse through time, encountering individuals who embodied the consequences of neglect in different forms. They met a once thriving community that had been torn apart by indifference, their bonds of friendship and love shattered by the relentless pursuit of progress. In another era, they encountered a barren landscape, where nature's beauty had been ravaged by pollution and exploitation. They witnessed the consequences of humanity's disregard for the delicate balance of the natural world, the consequences of neglect manifesting in the loss of biodiversity and the destruction of ecosystems. Through their encounters, Amelia and Edward pieced together the puzzle of the pocket watch and its connection to the gradual destruction of beauty. They discovered that it was not a mere coincidence that they had been drawn to the antique shop and its enigmatic owner, Mr. Hargreaves. The pocket watch held the power to transport them through time, but it also held a deeper purpose to awaken humanity to the consequences of neglect and inspire them to protect the beauty that surrounded them. As Amelia and Edward delved deeper into their quest, their bond grew stronger, their shared experiences forging an unbreakable connection. They became each other's pillars of strength, their unwavering determination fueling their resolve to restore the fading splendor of the world they once knew. Their journey was not without challenges and sacrifices. They faced opposition from those who sought to profit from the destruction of beauty, who saw no value in preserving what they deemed as relics of the past. But Amelia and Edward remained steadfast, their hearts ablaze with a passion that burned brighter than the darkest night. In the end, their efforts bore fruit. The world began to awaken to the consequences of neglect, as individuals and communities came together to protect the beauty that surrounded them. Art was once again celebrated, nature was cherished, and human connections were nurtured. Amelia and Edward's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder to cherish and protect the beauty that exists in the world before it is lost forever. Their journey through time served as a catalyst for change, inspiring others to take action and preserve the irreplaceable treasures that defined their existence. As the echoes of their adventures reverberated through eternity, Amelia and Edward stood side by side, their hearts filled with hope. They had witnessed the consequences of neglect, but they had also witnessed the power of collective action and the resilience of the human spirit. Together, they vowed to continue their mission, to protect the beauty that had been entrusted to them. And as they embarked on the next time-traveling adventure, they carried with them the knowledge that the destruction of beauty could be halted, that the echoes of eternity could be filled with the resounding triumph of preservation.